Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Extraordinary Talk Show. It is the first Monday of the new year. Welcome, welcome. Today is January 7th, 2019. Can you believe that it's 2019 already? Because that feels a little crazy to me. But next year's going to be 2020, and that's even better. So, welcome. I hope I've got everything turned on right. If you can't hear sound, let me know. But we're live on YouTube and on Facebook and live on the radio. Radio St. George 100.3. I can't forget it because it's right here on my mic. So, today I want to talk to you about goal setting. And you're going to wonder, or you might immediately connect why I'm talking about goal setting with it being the beginning of a new year. It is January, which means everybody is making New Year's resolutions. I shouldn't say everybody. That's a black and white statement, and not everybody is making New Year's resolutions. I, for example, have not made any New Year's resolutions. My main New Year's resolution is really just to become more awesome this year than I was last year. So that's an ongoing progression. Whether or not it's working, you'll have to decide. I feel like it is, but really I'm the one making that judgment for me, and you're the one making the judgment for yourself. So when it comes to New Year's resolutions, I got to tell you, I don't like them. I don't like New Year's resolutions. I think that they, most of the time, are a waste of time. I'm not saying setting goals is bad. I'm saying that listening or only setting these goals January 1st is bad. Because if you are trying to be a better person, there are 364 other days in the year that you can try to make yourself a better person. You don't have to wait for January 1st to do this. Anytime is a good time to be a better you. January 1st to me is kind of pointless. And I feel like when you're waiting till January to set that goal, it's because you're not really serious. If you were serious about it in August, you would do it in August. You wouldn't wait till January. And the main goal that I feel like people make for New Year's resolutions is health and fitness, which I fully support. People being healthier, people being fitter, people taking better care of their bodies, feeling better about themselves. All in favor of that. What I'm not in favor of is deciding January 1st is the best time to do it. Because as I said, there's 364 other days you can go to the gym, not just January 1st. I also think it's really funny when you watch social media during January, because there's two kinds of people that post from the gym. There's the people who just got their new gym membership and they're all excited about it and they're posting pictures of new year, new me, and that lasts about 3 weeks. And then you have the other people that are also posting from the gym who are complaining about how crowded it is, now that it's January and everybody has made their resolutions to go, and those people are still there in a month and 2 months because they were the people that were there the month before January. They're the ones who didn't need January 1st to come along to decide, hey, I should go to the gym today. So I'm not saying it's bad if you made a New Year's resolution. If you did, I want to help you be more successful in achieving your goals, in accomplishing your New Year's resolution. So I'm going to talk about how to set goals, whether it's January 1st or whether it's any other time of the year, in order to be more effective with them. When it comes to goal setting, there's a lot of different opinions. There's a lot of different tactics. Many people say write them down. Many people say put them on the calendar. Many people say meditate about them. I'm on that board. What works for you is going to be different than what works for everybody else. And if you have a friend who's amazing at setting and achieving goals, you might want to listen to them. You might want to talk to them. You might want to find out what it is that they do that works so well. But just because it works for them doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And that can be frustrating because we all want the secret weapon. We all want the magic pill, the one thing that's going to work. And ta-da, all of our goals are going to be accomplished and we'll just live happily ever after. What you find is when you meet one goal, there's another goal you want to meet. But let's start with meeting the first goal. Because if you were to count up your last 10 New Year's resolutions, How many of them did you accomplish? One of my favorite New Year's resolutions is to not make any New Year's resolutions, which by making that resolution, I immediately break it. But I figure that way I'm out the door quick and I can just continue on with my year once that one's made and broken. Typically, I don't set New Year's resolutions because I believe any time is a good time to be a better me. And that means any time of the year is a good time to set a goal. I want to kind of focus just to make this a little bit simpler. The main goal, as we said, that most people set for New Year's resolutions has to do with health and fitness. I mean, there's other goals. We all have better goals to be better people, to have better relationships, to make more money. Isn't that what we all want, is more money? Don't we all want more love? We talk about money a lot, and we don't always talk about love, that we want more love in our lives. If you're going to make a New Year's resolution, consider that one to, in this year, have more love in your life. And that can mean not just having love, but actually recognizing the love that's already in your life. Because when you recognize it, you'll notice it more. You'll acknowledge it more. Okay, so when you're setting a goal, so we're going to go along with the health and fitness goal for January that many, many people have. Here's the first thing you got to ask yourself. Have you set this goal before? Did you decide in 2018 you were going to lose 30 pounds, or in 2017 you were going to lose 30 pounds? Did you make a resolution previously that you're going to go to the gym more often? If so, did it work when you had that goal before? If it did, then why are you doing it again? Or did you lose 30 pounds and now you want to lose 30 more? Great. Good for you. But look back at that, the process that you went through. Look back at what you did, the actions that you took when you were trying to meet this goal before. What worked? What didn't work? You know, the definition of chaos is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And yet that's what we do. So many people every January 1st say, I'm going to go to the gym 3 to 5 times a week. I'm going to go to the gym. And they set that as a goal. And by the end of January or February, they failed at it. So they wait till next January and they start over, try again. They do the exact same thing. They expect a different result. That, my friends, is what chaos is. I have another quote for you. This is from Dr. Joe Dispenza in his book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Think of it this way. The input remains the same, so the output has to remain the same. How then can you ever create anything new? If you put the same effort into your goal, the exact same effort that you did last time, chances are you're going to have the exact same result. So what's different now? What are you doing now that's different and better from what you did last time? What worked last time? Were there certain things, certain times of day it was better to get to the gym? Certain people that you went with that made it better? Those are the things you got to look back. And this can be hard. Looking back at why you, quote unquote, failed at something can be really difficult because you have to be honest with yourself. And being honest with yourself can be really hard. So if it was me, for example, and I was to look back at a previous year of why my goal to go to the gym during January didn't work. For me, I can tell you probably what didn't work would have been trying to do it before work or school in the morning, because I just don't like to get up that early for something that's optional. In fact, going to the gym is optional. So how do I change the belief that I have in my head that it's not optional? That's one of the tricks, because our limiting beliefs are what holds us back. And when you're looking back at times that your goals worked and times that your goals didn't work, you may recognize patterns. And this is really important, guys, when it comes to trying to achieve a goal. If it's a goal that you've tried to achieve before or done something similar, I want you to look back at those times when you tried this similar goal, what things worked, what things didn't work. Did you do the exact same things before and have the exact same result? If so, then that gives you a pattern. And sometimes it's really, really frustrating when patterns emerge in our lives, but it actually is awesome because if you can find a pattern that you did this thing and got this result multiple times, that's a pattern. And that's not just in going to the gym or setting goals. It can be in many, many parts of your life. If you have the same type of relationships every single time, if you bring the same men, if you're a woman and you're trying to date men, the same kind of cruddy man keeps coming back and you can't seem to find a good one, look at those guys and recognize the patterns that you have in those relationships because that pattern is not working for you. So look at your previous patterns. If your previous pattern was that all of January, you did great, you went to the gym 5 times a week, you counted your calories, you lost 4 pounds, you're so proud of yourself, and then February comes and you just can't keep up the motivation, then that's a pattern. Especially if it's happened to you more than once. So look back at those things and try to find your patterns. When you find the pattern, now you know what you need to do to be different. Put in a different beginning, get a different outcome. Remember, the definition of chaos is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. For 90% of New Year's resolutions, it's all chaos. This is the same thing we tried before and it didn't work before, so we're going to try the exact same thing again and wonder why it doesn't work this time. Find the patterns. Guys, when it comes to goal setting and goal achieving, look at your patterns. If you've had this pattern before, then it's easy because that tells you what not to do. A lot of times in life, we're searching for what we should do. What's the right pattern? Do we do this? Do we do this? We forget to look at what not to do. And if we attempted this before and it didn't work, now we know what doesn't work. That's awesome. Now you know what not to do. So if your goal is losing 30 pounds and you think you're going to do that by going to the gym 5 times a week, and you just can't get to the gym 5 times a week, that tells you something. And if you've made the same goal and done the exact same thing before, now you have a pattern. So if your goal is to lose 30 pounds and your action to get you there is to go to the gym 5 times a week, be realistic. Are you really going to get to the gym 5 times a week? Also, is that the best way? So consider, once you figure out what you want to do, what your goal is, then you need to figure out your actions to accomplish that goal, right? So if you want to lose 30 pounds, going to the gym 5 times a week sounds great unless it's not realistic for you. Or if that's a pattern that you've done before and it obviously didn't work, what did work? When you have attempted this before, what modifications in your life were successful? Was it successful to stop eating after 7? Was it successful to throw out all the junk food in your house so you didn't have that there to eat? Again, what works for you and what works for somebody else are going to be very, very different. In 2018, I lost 40 pounds. I'm pretty stinking happy about that. And it is actually not the first time in my life that I've lost weight and managed to keep it off for an extended period of time, but I did do it differently because the things I've been trying lately weren't working. When I tried to just stop eating donuts, that didn't work. When I tried to go for walks more often, that didn't work. And one thing that was really important for me was to keep trying. And I tried many, many different things. I tried different exercise routines. I tried different foods. I tried different healthy shakes. And I found a whole bunch of things that didn't work. Remember Thomas Edison? You've heard this before. When he was inventing the light bulb, he said, I haven't failed 300 times. I found 300 ways that don't work. So if you are setting your goal to lose 30 pounds and you've set this goal before, now you already know all the things that don't work. You can stop wasting your time. You don't have to get out of bed 5 times a week to go to the gym if that has never worked before. And I'm not trying to tell you don't go to the gym because it's really good for you. But if you're setting that as a goal and that as an action and that's never worked before, why do you think it's going to work this time? And if you're already going, if we're 1 week into 2019 and you're already nailing that gym 5 times a week, then by golly, keep going. And then if the time comes that it's harder to get there 5 times a week, or it's not fitting in your life, or something changes, Look back at what is different. What was working when you were able to get to the gym 5 times a week that isn't working now? What's the difference? And when we're looking at what works and what doesn't work, we have to be critical of ourselves. We have to say, you know what? I like going to the gym. I like getting to the gym at 8 in the morning. I just don't like getting out of bed at 7:30 or earlier or later. And it can be, we tend to beat ourselves up, right? As humans, we're really critical of ourselves. This is one of my biggest complaints about people. One of the biggest things that people could do better for themselves, one way that people can love themselves more, is to not talk to themselves so negatively. So when you're looking at this, when you're examining your patterns, don't go back to a few years ago when you didn't make your goal of losing 30 pounds. Don't beat yourself up over that, okay? That was a learning experience. Make it a learning experience. Don't go back and take that opportunity to just make yourself feel like crap. You wouldn't do that for somebody else that you love. If you have a best friend or a child or a spouse or somebody, and you were trying to help them figure out why their weight loss goals weren't working, and you talked about why it didn't work for their 2016 goal, would you call them names? Would you put them down? No, you wouldn't. This is someone that you love. You would not criticize them for what they failed at before. Don't do that for yourself. Recognize what you didn't do well at before. In the book, Good to Great, they call this without blame, autopsy without blame. That's what it is. That means that you look back at it, you cut it apart, you look at all the little pieces, you find where the problems are, you find what worked, what didn't, and you don't blame. It's not about blame. So many of us are afraid to go back and look at what we did and how we failed before, because we immediately jump on blaming ourselves. Don't do that. You're not going to learn anything there. In fact, we're afraid to go back and look at what didn't work because we know as soon as we look at that, we're going to start feeling cruddy about it. Give yourself permission to learn from yourself. Learn what you did well. Learn what you didn't do well and be better. Don't beat yourself up over it. That's not why we're here. We're here to be better. And any time is a good time to be a better you. So when you're looking back at your history, when you're recognizing your patterns, do it without emotion. And that is critical. That's also very, very difficult. It's so easy for me to get up here on the radio and talk about how you should do these things. I know that when it comes to actually doing these things, it's hard. I make it sound easy because I can say anything in front of a microphone and make it sound easy. I know when it actually comes down to it, that it's a lot more difficult than this. It's very difficult to look at why you failed before without feeling bad about it. But remember, too, that by doing that, you are learning. You're learning about you. You're learning about your patterns. You're learning about your strengths. What things are you good at? And by learning those things, you are going to be better. And that means when you look back at this year, at how successful you were with this goal, you'll have some ideas of what actually worked, what did go well, and who knows, maybe you'll actually meet that goal. One important part is to take the emotion out of the evaluation. When you're setting your goal now, when you're making your actions toward that goal, and when you're looking back at your patterns, when it worked, what didn't work before, do it as much as you can without emotion. Take the emotion aside. You don't need to feel bad for who you are. You don't need to feel bad for mistakes that you've made. You don't need to feel awful because you set this goal and you failed at it before. It's okay. We're humans and we're growing. This is a hard life to live. What we do here on earth, it's tough. You got to give yourself a little bit of permission to make mistakes, permission to learn. The key here is to be able to learn. If you look back at that past history and you go, oh yeah, I just got too lazy to get up and go to the gym 5 days a week. And then this week, you're still just too lazy to get up and go to the gym and you don't have any other efforts that you're trying, that's not learning. That's not helping you. Be a better person by learning about yourself, by learning about what you're good at, how you can do well. And maybe you need to change your perspective. You remember Wayne Dyer said, When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And when I say change your perspective, it's almost even difficult to give you examples for that because the ways to change your perspective are infinite. One little example, let's say that your goal is to lose 30 pounds by going to the gym 5 times a week. Maybe it's time to educate yourself. Maybe it's time to do more learning, find out what body style you have, what body type you have. You can maybe even get some blood tests done at your doctor's office to find out what foods are good for you and how your body metabolizes. When you learn those things, then you can start feeding your body foods that will give you energy, that will reduce inflammation, that will make you feel good, but that won't lead to more unwanted weight. Educating yourself is one of the miracles that we have access to in this world, especially if we live in the United States in 2019. When it came time, when I decided I was so tired of being overweight and I wanted to lose that weight, and I set a goal for 31 pounds, I had done the thing, I'd had the pattern so many times of trying that. Okay, I'm going to eat fewer carbs. I'm going to have smaller portions. I'm only going to eat 1 milkshake a week. Because, you got to give yourself a little bit of leeway, right? All the patterns I made before didn't work. The one time I lost weight before, I wasn't doing the things that I did that time. I wasn't repeating any of those successful habits. I was only trying new unsuccessful habits because they seemed easy, because they were convenient. And I thought, if that's all it takes, then sure, that'll be easy. It didn't work. What worked was, for me, when I got educated about my body, when I learned how my body responded to different foods, when I learned that butter and heavy cream barely cause your insulin to be produced by your pancreas, but that white wheat and potatoes make your body produce a huge amount of insulin, which then takes it out of fat burning mode. Those are the things that I learned. And when I learned those things, when I understood those things, that's when I changed my body, right? So for me, I had to recognize my patterns and not beat myself up for failing at it, but to recognize what I'd done well, what I hadn't done well. And none of the things that I had tried lately had really been effective at all. So I had to step out and then do something entirely different. And I did something that a lot of other people were doing, but I wasn't necessarily doing it the same way that they were. Because when I looked at my body and how my body worked, I learned that what was maybe working for other people wasn't necessarily the best thing for me. When I did my research, when I did my homework, when I educated myself, I was able to get a better result for my goal. So if your goal is to make more money this year, and your way of doing that is to put all your change in a jar and save that for the end of the year, if that's something you've done before, how well did that work? If you want to actually earn more money, you might need more education. That doesn't mean you have to go back to college. That might be what it means. It might be you need to learn how the stock market works. It might be you need to learn how marketing works so that you can sell your skills better. If you are reaching for a goal and you've tried a million different things and it's still not working, there's something you don't know. There's something you don't understand. And it might be in your patterns and how you keep kind of screwing it up without realizing it. And the thing that you don't know might actually be new education information. Maybe when you learn more about how this goal works, you will be better prepared to fulfill that goal, to actually achieve it. As Americans, we live in a really amazing country. One of our biggest problems is that we are lazy. And I don't like the term lazy. I prefer the term convenience enthusiast. I am definitely a convenience enthusiast. I want to know the easiest way to do something. If it takes me 10 minutes to learn how to do something the easy way and then 5 minutes to do it, that's better than if I spent 20 minutes doing it the hard way. Right? Now, that doesn't mean I'm always great at that because I have some patterns I need to figure out and learn too. But when it comes to it, education, learning, the opportunity to learn is one of the greatest resources that we have. And we have the internet, which has answers for everything. If you can't find an answer to a question, you probably just haven't looked hard enough or long enough, because those answers are there. So when it comes to setting your goals, there might be something you need to learn about that goal to get you there. Where we want everything easy, we just want it handed to us, we want it brought to us. It's hard to lose 30 pounds. We want to just take that magic pill. And as Americans, we're kind of trained to just look for that magic pill that'll just make everything easy. Nothing is that easy. And we know that nothing comes for free, right? Or I don't necessarily believe that, but there are times when good things aren't free. And even losing 30 pounds takes time, takes effort, takes motivation, right? And it takes some education on your part, because the truth is, there are pills you can go to your doctor and he'd give you that one magic pill and it'll make you lose weight. It also might cause heart issues or other physical problems, sometimes even death. So there are a lot of people who went to the doctor 15, 20 years ago and got a pill to help them lose weight, and now they're struggling with weak hearts and heart defects that those pills caused over time, because those people were lazy. Instead of wanting to do it themselves, instead of wanting to learn how to do it, instead of wanting to face their own patterns and learn from their own failures, they went for that magic pill, and now they're in trouble. So when you're looking for the easy way out, remember the easy way out usually isn't. If you want real solutions, long-term solutions to your goals, you got to stick with it. You have to learn. You have to evaluate. You have to recognize what has worked. You have to recognize what hasn't worked. You have to learn what you don't know. Figure out what it is that you don't understand about this process and educate yourself. If there's certain areas of your body that you want to tone, like let's say you want to tone your biceps, crunches aren't going to help that, right? You got to do some bicep curls. Learn what it's going to take to get the result that you want. This is the hard part. The hard part is educating ourselves. We don't want to have to learn new things. We're lazy. We want to just have everything handed to us. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of good free things in the world. But the things that you put in effort for, the things that you put in your own mind effort, physical effort, and not everything has to be hard work. But sometimes spending that few minutes to learn how to do something saves you months or years in the long run, because you took the time to stop and learn and didn't just want it handed to you. So when you're setting your goals, remember, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a snap. It's not going to be a magic pill. You have to, if you truly want to be successful in your goals, you have to look at what you're good at doing, what you're not good at doing, what you need to change in your patterns, in your habits, what you need to learn. And when you do those things, that's when you start to reach your goals. I have another really cool thing that my darling sister Carrie posted on my Facebook from Tim Ferriss. And Tim Ferriss is a smart guy. And one cool thing about Tim Ferriss is he knew he didn't have the answers. So he talked to hundreds of other people and asked them, how did you get to be successful? What things worked for you? And you can read his book called Tools of Titans. That is conversations with hundreds of people about how they got to be successful. It's a pretty fantastic book. And if you read that, you're going to find that you already do many of the things that these amazing people do, but you might also be able to recognize some of the things that you're not doing that would make a change for you in reaching some of those goals. But here's what Tim Ferriss said about New Year's. I'm often asked about how I approach New Year's resolutions. The truth is that I no longer approach them at all, even though I did for decades. Why the change? I've found past year reviews more informed, valuable, and actionable than half blindly looking forward with a broad resolution. I did my first past year review after a mentor's young daughter died of cancer on December 31st, roughly 8 years ago, and I've done it every year since. It takes 30 to 60 minutes and looks like this. Grab a notepad and create 2 columns, positive and negative. Go through your calendar from the last year looking at every week. For each week, jot down on the pad any people or activities or commitments that triggered peak positive or negative emotions for that month. Put them in their respective columns. Once you've gone through the past year, look at your notepad list and ask what 20% of each column produced the most reliable or powerful peaks. Based on the answers, take your positive leaders and schedule more of them in the new year. Get them on the calendar now. Book things with friends and prepay for activities or events or commitments that you know work. It's not real until it's in the calendar. That's step 1. Step 2 is to take your negative leaders, put not to do list at the top, and put them somewhere you can see them each morning for the first few weeks of 2019. These are the people and things you know make you miserable. So don't put them on your calendar out of obligation, guilt, or other nonsense. So if you're still wanting to make those New Year's resolutions, do what I've been talking about for the last half hour. Look back at what worked, what didn't work. Look at your positives, look at your negatives. Look at what was successful, what wasn't successful. Put more of those successful things on your calendar and get rid of the unsuccessful things. It's a waste of your time, and your time is valuable. You have a very limited amount of it on this earth. You don't even know how limited it is. So you better make the most of it while you can. With all of your goal setting, with all of your self-evaluation, I wish you the best. I truly do wish that 2019 is an amazing year for you and that you achieve all of your goals. And I hope somehow listening to this show helps with that. Remember, I'm not trying to tell you what to think. I'm just trying to get you to think for yourselves. And thanks for listening to me here on the Extraordinary Talk Show. I'll see you guys next week.